All right, hey guys. I'm finally back. It's been about a million years in real time. One of the reasons why I've been gone so long is, as you can see, I have changed the place that I'm living in. If you're a member of my Patreon, you know that I have been working on this piece for the last little while. It is a reimagine, as I have branded it, of a piece that I made a few years ago. And I found it and I was like, whoa, this is not as good as it could be. And I decided to remake it. So I revisited this piece. I called it the Green Gibson Girl. It's just this kind of figure. She is all like green, and then she is a girl. So that's a great description of that. I will show you how I adapted it in this reimagine. Stitch is there because he's blocking all of the junk that's behind him. So I started the process by sketching everything out. I tried to be as accurate as I possibly could, and I knew that I wanted the pose to be more like dynamic and have more movement than the first time I made it, because the first painting is really static looking. So I decided to have her kind of like on an angle and then have her head like switched the other way. So like this. I don't remember how it is, but have her kind of like on an angle, so it's just more movement. I also paid more attention to like the silhouette. I'm always talking about silhouette. I cannot stop talking about silhouette, but I paid attention to like the silhouette and made sure that it was more interesting, because in the last painting, the silhouette is kind of like blobby and difficult to see with all of the details. So in this one, I made sure that you could kind of get a sense of what it is, even just from seeing the silhouette. At first, I went in with this kind of line art idea, really heavy, and I did keep line art at the end, which you will eventually see, but I kind of like went more of a painting direction with it, which is like, I'm like a broken record on that, because I always seem to be changing my mind and going from line to like a painterly style. But anyway, I just worked on tightening up the drawing a lot, making sure that all the lines were crisp and nice and good. Adding wispy hair details. I wanted to make the hair asymmetrical. So I kept one side big and then one side smaller, so it just kind of gives like a lot of motion, a lot of movement. And then I started playing around with the concept itself. So I noticed how I had a lot of like round shapes in the original painting, and I wanted that same kind of thing, but I didn't want them done in the same way where they're obscuring the figure. So I decided to do this hairpiece that has like a round planet shape and then stars coming off of it. I sketched that in. And I also added like other nature inspired things, since this feels very Art Nouveau to me. So I added like the eye looking out and then a worm like floating in the air. And I also added some plastic garbage around the bottom. I did that because I wanted to, with Art Nouveau, there's a sense of like idyllic science, progress. You get the vibe. And I wanted to balance that out with the more realistic reality of progress, in that there are things like waste, plastic waste, and so things like the excitement of space exploration and technological advancement is also paired with an excess of trash everywhere. Everywhere we look, we see plastic. So I wanted to show both sides of that coin in this piece. Then I started blocking in colors, and I of course started with like green and some brown shades and some reddish shades as well. And I went for the red as a complementary color to the green. I started going in and working on the blush and the slight tonal shifts in the face to give the appearance of like a nice skin experience. Shadows in and around the nose and on the forehead, and I really focused in on the skin in this step because to me that is like the main focal point of this piece, is definitely like her face. So I wanted to put a lot of time there. I decided to do this thing that I've been doing recently where I put really bright neon colors inside of the iris of the character. I like how it kind of abstracts the iris and makes it less like, an iris shape and then a pupil. I kind of want to use that space to express what I feel like the emotional state of the character is and what my emotional state is. So I feel that doing more abstraction there is interesting and unexpected. Then I started like rendering the plastic trash and also the like space junk and stuff. And then I started putting in the shadows. So I went in with I think it was a purple, and started creating my big shapes. So I knew I wanted to have Rembrandt lighting because it's a classical lighting style of bright on one side, triangle on the other. And since I'm referencing Art Nouveau and Edwardian styles, I wanted to go with something classic. I also knew I wanted to have just kind of like a spotlight on the face, so that worked perfect for that. I let other places fall away into shadows so that I kept the focus on the face itself. Next, I deepened the background. Originally, it was a light shade, but I decided I wanted the character to be spotlit, and the best way for me to do that was to darken the background so that the character's body can contrast with that. So the opposite I could have done would have been making the character darker and the background light. But I wanted a very Renaissance, Enlightenment feel to this piece, so I thought the dark background would kind of create that aesthetic. I spent a lot of time going in and rendering the hair, adding in lots of geometric shapes. I like to keep my hair geometric and almost metallic looking in places. So I wanted to carve in all those shapes and have them a nice blend between rounded and angular. I started using an airbrush to softly put in more shading in the face. And then, the best part, which is the reflected light. I added in reflected light on the darkened side of the face to help define that shape more. And this is just an absolute, amazing God tier level painting technique. You don't even need to know anything about painting, and you add in a shadow and then you add back in the reflected light or a rim light or a ring light, and voila, you are Rembrandt himself. So I did that, and then I started chipping away again at the plastics. I really like how the big plastic jug turned out. I wanted to keep things kind of cartoon style, but have like a surreal rendering aesthetic to everything. More shines to help define shapes of things. Yes. Lots of glow effects were added at this phase to soften everything out and give like a camera blur effects. I like to do, what's it called? It's called Bloom. It's called Bloom. Oh my God. I just, an IRL lighting effect just happened. But it's called Bloom in Procreate, and you blow out all of the highlights. And then what I like to do is flatten everything, duplicate that, add bloom to the duplicated layer, and then lower the opacity of that with the other one underneath, the original layer underneath, until I like the amount of blowout that the highlights have. And then I added some texture into the background. I finalized some things with some electric texture around the hairpiece and the space stuff. And let's see what else. I kept the scribbling lines in the hair. I also went around the outside of the entire piece with a brown to give it that rusted, aged, well, it's not really rusted, it's more like an old photograph style. And that kind of tied everything together for me. So here's the final piece. Let me know what you guys think. I am so happy with like the improvement that I've seen between the original and the old. Wait, no, that's the same thing. Between the original and the new. Here's like a comparison so you can see the difference. I was able to gain so much like skill, I guess, in the past few years. There's so much more movement, emotion, shape design, everything just so much improved. I did change the design a lot from the beginning, but I knew that I wanted to do that because I wasn't ever really happy with the original design. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. So yeah, I'm going to be working on another reimagined piece. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more painting things. I am in the process of working on a lot of like traditional paintings. So I want to share some of those. I honestly like probably the best way to see some of that stuff is on my TikTok and on Instagram. I'm going to be posting more of that now that I'm like settled into my new enclosure. Oh my god, my bones are crack-a-lacking. But anyway, yeah, thank you for your patience in waiting for this video to come out and see my face in all of its pixelated beauty with my wonderful webcam. I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.